Do you remember free will? Everything happens at the speed that the person allows. That is why some people progress like this, others like this and others like that, with your finger in the air, make 3 straight lines, one after the other, the first high up, the second lower down and the third, below all of them. In a month, progress can be astonishing. Why? Because the person lets go, forgives, liberates, changes. They have the power of a Big Bang in their hands. If you let the process flow normally, it will be infinite. However, all you have to do is touch the knot, something that the person does not want to change, and the process stops. Look, there has been a war for how many thousand years? 3, 4, 5,000 years. Almost 6,000 years. Over beliefs. What is belief? It is a paradigm. When I say paradigm, understand, beliefs. If what a person believes in does not match, is not the same as the ultimate reality of the universe, they are in trouble. They are generating things wrong. For example, if they climb 20 floors of a building, look down and think they can fly. If they jump, they die. The law of gravity exists, whether they accept it or not, believe it or not. It is real. It is an ultimate reality, it is a law of physics. If they understand this, great, they don't jump, they continue to live. If not, they will only understand through experience. Or it will be through love, or through pain. It is easier for people to understand when I say that knowledge is put on a CD. But, right from the start, they need to understand that the recording is not done in this paradigm. Sometimes, a person attends the lecture, and then calls several other people, experts, to try to find out which is the machine that records what Hélio said. All the experts will say that this machine does not exist. The result, the person stops believing in anything I said, either they disappear or tell everyone they know that the process does not work. Why? An attempt is made to analyze, from Newton's perspective, something that is from another paradigm. In Newton's view, an electron cannot pass through 2 holes at the same time. It's a simple experiment. There are not several electrons. Physicists were so perplexed by this that they controlled the emission one by one, instead of emitting many, one after the other, quickly, at the speed of light. No, send one and stop. It hit the wall. Okay. Send another. It hit the wall. Send another. It hit the wall. One at a time. What happened when there were 2 slits? There was interference back there. The electron passed through 2 slits at the same time. If there was only 1 slit, there was no interference. It's proven there, in the sensor. I recommend that you don't try it, please, because otherwise you won't use the tool. Astronomical power will be available, but you won't use it. Why? Because you will be trying to understand, with Newton's vision, a phenomenon of quantum mechanics. Some time ago, in Venezuela, if I'm not mistaken, some anthropologists contacted an indigenous tribe, one of those that had been isolated for 5,000 years. They did an experiment. They gave them an axe and said, "This is a perfect tool for cutting down trees." And they didn't explain anything else. A month later, they came back. What did you think of the axe? It's no good. We couldn't cut down any trees. What was happening? They were hitting the tree with the axe at the wrong angle. So, even with an axe, they couldn't cut down a tree. The universe, the quantum vacuum, is a scalar wave. It's in this wave that everything is stored. So, does all the knowledge of the Library of Alexandria still exist? It does. Where is it? In a scalar wave, which is not in this local universe. So, there's no point in looking anywhere, in this paradigm, for the little machine that will capture and record this knowledge. What normally happens to some people? They give up. When someone from this paradigm comes for the first time, without ever having attended a lecture, without having seen the DVD, without having read any book on quantum mechanics, they cannot understand how this happens. The person has only heard about it, but they come, sit down, make the requests. They receive the CD, go home, play it, and realize that changes begin to occur. So, they want to understand how. It is said that in 1893, a physicist built a machine that could disintegrate anything using frequency. He put a mouse in a cage, emitted a wave, and the mouse disappeared, its molecules disintegrated. Soon, they wanted him to give this invention to the powers that be. What did he do? He destroyed the machine with a sledgehammer. First, the machine only worked when he himself activated it. It didn't work if anyone else pressed the little button. For it to work, he had to put his hand on it. Before anyone asks, if his arm was cut off, and another person holding that arm put his hand on the machine, would it work? I answer, it wouldn't work. The machine worked with his mental frequency, not with the hurts of his little fingers. Do you see? If the scientist was able to build a machine with the power to disintegrate, he understood how the system worked, right? To be sure, he planned it very well. It will only work if I, all of me, put my hand on the machine. He said, not even in 1,000 years will humanity be ready to have access to technology like this. Therefore, he destroyed the machine. He ended the expectations of those who wanted to have the little machine to dissolve, to disintegrate people. You know that, at this stage we are in, anything can be used as a weapon. You must be used to seeing, on street lamps, advertisements like, love binding. 100% guaranteed. How can a person guarantee 100% that they will bring the other person tied up? That doesn't exist. It's impossible. It's not a rabbit, but another thinking being, who also collapses wave function, also does the Zeno effect, thinks, wants, and also has free will. If the other person has a very high frequency, it is not possible to tie him, her. But sorcerers sell this binding, and we see lines of cars at their door. Imagine, if people believe in this, if humanity is at this stage, how can it have access to knowledge like quantum physics? It can't. No chance. A quantum leap in humanity's level of consciousness is needed. Humanity needs to grow, because it already knows how to make bombs. Are we going to wait for it to self-destruct? Quantum mechanics needs to be explained. Why is this subject being so debated all over the planet? Because it is necessary to understand quantum mechanics in order to expand consciousness and stop the construction of bombs. 2,994 atomic bombs have already exploded on this planet, and there are thousands and thousands more stored or ready to be made. Whoever has bombs will use them, as they have been used many times before, without giving anyone else the slightest chance. They have been used many times before, without giving anyone else the slightest chance. How can knowledge of this potential be made available to everyone? It is not possible. However, it is necessary to change the paradigm, and that is why quantum mechanics exists as a tool. Little by little, people think and expand. If we look closely, we see that there are n books on quantum mechanics. But one wonders, as she did, pointing to the audience, how do I apply this to the economy, to health, etc.? With resonance. Precisely, with resonance, with frequency, all this knowledge can be applied. What do you need? What knowledge do you want? Knowledge makes the difference, but real knowledge. It is not the entrepreneur's mentality that you need, but the entrepreneur's archetype, the soccer player's archetype, the carpenter's archetype, any professional. Each one has his or her own archetype, which is his or her perfection. This information is available. All the information in the universe is available. People are free to ask for whatever they want. But, unfortunately, very few ask for it. Even with all the information available, in general, people only want a car, a house, an apartment, a boat. So, what they want, is provided. Is that good enough? That's good enough. They try it for 2 months, leave, give up. With so much available, imagine what the limit of their personal capacity, of their performance, would be? But knowledge is not used, mainly because people cannot understand its scope. I have spoken to many people, for example, in soccer, at all levels, who were unable to understand it. Imagine this possibility of expansion in a soccer team, in a player's career. It would represent a gigantic leap in their ability to play. Some have already tried it, but gave up. A month later, many stop, because the expansion of knowledge hurts the interests of businessmen, who order the process to stop. But, during that single month, the athlete plays as well as he has ever played in his life. Imagine what he could achieve in 6 months or a year, if he let everything clear up. This happens in any area. Relationships, business, health, this knowledge can be used in everything. However, it is necessary to take the time to cleanse everything that is preventing the person from progressing. First, it is necessary to cleanse. There needs to be catharsis, to throw away, to cry over everything that is necessary. Have you forgiven? Is it over? Is it resolved? By removing the bad baggage, progress is infinite. No information will be denied. But the person falls into self-sabotage. That is the problem. After a month, 2, 3, they easily reach self-sabotage, a comfortable boundary is reached, and then they give up. When asked, do you want to make money? Do you want this? Do you want? Most people answer, I do. They start doing resonance. They come for a month. They earn. Then they stop. Few people really want accelerated and great growth. Most do not want that. Let's talk about the law of cause and effect. Everything that is sent out, comes back. A person is an electromagnetic field that emits a wave without stopping. And it attracts everything that it is emanating. But how did they try to explain the practical side of this 2000 years ago? With stories and parables. Everything that was said was already pure quantum mechanics 2000 years ago. But today, when there are atomic bombs and cell phones, it no longer makes sense to talk in parables. It is necessary to talk in terms of quantum mechanics. That is why many documentaries are made with physicists explaining to people what quantum mechanics is. Would it be any use talking about everything metaphorically, if it was already done that way 2000 years ago? And in the meantime, people continue to be killed. It is necessary to explain quantum mechanics somewhat, let's say, technically, but on a popular level, to see if it gets the point. Resonance has the advantage of being testable. People can say, I don't believe it. So, we propose to do a test, make your wishes, measurable things, okay? She makes the requests. We give her the CD. Here, go home, play it, come back here. When she comes back, how's it going? Inevitably, the result appears. We're talking about physics. There's no way it won't happen. It would be like saying, I don't believe in the law of gravity. Okay, then pick up this little stone and let it go. Did it fall 1 trillion times? It will always fall, because it's a law. As much as what I explain seems like science fiction, it is physics, but 100, 200, 500 years in the future. Do you know about string theory? It's 21st century physics that fell into the 20th century. It's as if someone showed up with a Ferrari in 1500. Take an iPod Touch to 50 years ago. Go back in time and tell people that in 50 years there will be an iPod, containing 20,000 songs on a tiny film, that with your finger you can drag the screen wherever you want, expand, contract, do whatever you want, just with the electricity from your finger. Would anyone have believed that 50 years ago? They would have said you were crazy, that it was a Flash Gordon story. Those who were from that time must remember that this character had a watch, which he used to see and communicate with another person. Today, there is a cell phone that is a bracelet, a 3G, in which you can see the interlocutor. What was science fiction 50 years ago is now available to everyone. When I explain resonance, I am talking about a physics that, at the moment, is not yet used. But it is only a matter of time, depending on humanity's awareness. For this knowledge to be available to everyone, people will need to understand and accept it. In the future, when they arrive at school for the first time, it will already be known what children's abilities and vocations are. Why would they need 5,000 hours of classes on a subject, if all of that content can be transferred directly to the brain, as if it were an MP3? If the content can be transferred, the most important thing is to think. Think, analyze, reason. It is a complete waste of time to hold a book in your hands to assimilate a concept, when it can be taught in its entirety, all at once. Time will be used to think. Can you imagine the gains in education on the planet, as a whole, when this is understood? It will be immeasurable. But it will take as long as it takes for humanity to accept that the atom is a particle and a wave at the same time. And that all information is available, etc., etc., everything I have already explained. That everything is a consequence of another consequence, everything is logic. All information is available through a process, the person mentions what they want, and it is provided. Every month an adjustment is made, because changes occur, and it is necessary to adjust as the changes are made, because it is a fine-tuning. A gradual cleaning occurs, which cannot be done in just 1 month, unfortunately, because the person does not allow it. Have you ever thought about if they did? It would be like this. Snap of fingers. But what about everything that is, under the rug, that takes a long time to let go, to clean, to let go? It is not the process that takes time, it happens in a billionth of a second. What takes time is the person letting go of things, changing the paradigm, changing a belief. And this is complicated, because belief creates reality. We create our own reality. What we believe in, we manifest in our lives. Everything you believe about relationships, you are creating for yourself. What happens in your emotional relationships? What you create is the same as your beliefs. You can list everything you believe about relationships. Do a self-analysis. I'll give you just one example, a worthless man. Guess who you'll attract? Isn't that true? That which I feared most has happened to me. Do you remember that phrase? It's also in a Bible verse. Why does that which you fear most happen? Because, through your own belief, you attract everything that you believe in. Belief is the person's personality, who they are, their ego. Everything they believe in the economic, political, social areas, children, relationships, health, etc., manifests in their life. If you take each topic in your life and do a reverse engineering, you'll see which beliefs are creating the events. Try to change it. Change the belief and see the result in your life. It's immediate. When you remove that belief, all the negative things it's generating, if they're not in accordance with ultimate reality, disappear. You start to see results. If you let it be cleared, the results are infinite. So, what's holding you back? The brakes that the person pulls. There's no limit to growth. Let's take a coffee shop that sells 500 cups of coffee a day as an example. The owner advertises it, and in the first month, consumption increases to 600 cups of coffee a day. What will happen to the employees? I have clients who are store managers, who work at shopping mall cafes. The employees will get a little irritated, because they won't have time to chat or swap cards, they'll have to wait at the counter, non-stop. The owner continues to advertise. The following month, consumption increases to 700 cups of coffee a day. You can be sure, 3 or 4 employees already quit. Is that what happens to many of the employees hired in a store like that, in a cafe like that, on the first day? The managers tell me that when they hire people, to hire them, they have to do an extreme selection process, because no one wants to work in a shopping mall, they put the ones who accept the job to work in the morning. When they see that it's hard work, that it's not just about picking up the tray and putting it on the counter, that you have to finish the product right away, they quit the same afternoon they started. Imagine if 700 coffee shops turn into 8 or 900, growth is growth. What is the sales potential of this store? It's just about attracting customers. By changing the energy of the place, customers come in droves. A bank, for example, where I worked with residents with all the employees, generated a 150% increase in revenue in 2 months. A jewelry saleswoman in a shopping mall had a 300% increase in 1 year. And jewelry isn't just popcorn, is it? When an executive first came, he had 160 people under his management. A year later, 1,000 people, and 2 promotions. Pay attention, he's never come to a lecture, he's never read anything about quantum physics. But there's one detail, he believes and wants to. He doesn't put the brakes on it, he doesn't hold back. He says, I want to earn money, I want to progress. You can set the frequency. Once the frequency is set, he receives the impulse and incorporates it, he rises. From 160 to 1,000 employees in 1 year. Then he gets an apartment, this and that. Even though he has never been to a lecture, he knows how to not put obstacles in the way of what he wants. I want to make money. Very well, then you need to grow. Okay, you can transfer me some knowledge. He is growing, he keeps up with the pace. Since there is no limit to energy, it is possible to jump from 500 to 5,000 cups of coffee quickly. Did that store fill up? Open another one. Did that one fill up too? Open another one. People have free will. How much do you want to grow? Don't think about the difficulties, the system, the economy, the package. Forget about it. That's a belief. It's part of the paradigm of others. In quantum mechanics, reality is created. You are immune to these obstacles. Take your focus off the crisis, the debt, the problem. Think about infinite growth. It's available, but you can't stop it, you shouldn't set limits. It's unlimited. But if someone says, oh, I just want to earn so many thousand reis a month. What are they doing? They're putting on the brakes. And that's problematic, because it's not normal in the universe. There's no stable in the universe. It grows all the time. Either the atom moves or it doesn't. That's the Zeno effect, you stop the atom's vibration, by letting go, it moves. Everything is growing, from the smallest particle to the galaxies. Do you understand? In order for a person to be able to grow, they must be in flow with the universe. And for that to happen, there needs to be a challenge that is consistent with your ability, which increases exponentially. If that is not the case, the person becomes annoyed and unhappy, because the challenge needs to be consistent with your ability. Imagine a good soccer team playing against an 8th-tier team. Do you think the players are happy? They are not. The score could be 80-0, 90-0. Is that funny? There is no growth in the team that is losing 80-0, nor in the team that is doing it. There is no growth, there is no opposition, there is no friction, there is no exchange of information. However, if you have an obstacle, an opponent who gives his all, and you also have to make an effort, then both of you grow. This applies to any area. So much so that we men like to watch a soccer game when the competition is serious, like in a championship final or World Cup. T is because the players give their all. But no one likes to watch a small game. What fun is a game with a score of 10-0?